5280 Sports Network and your Morning Minute. Nate Lundy, Shawn, TJ Carpenter, a Wednesday edition of the Morning Minute. Guys, we'll talk about the Rockies in just a moment and their win last night, but we start here. Rumors floating around, various NFL reporters about the Broncos potentially trading TJ Ward. Now, Shawn, some of this has to do with his contract situation. Some of it has to do with current talent on the roster. Let's start with the contract.
Well, I think that's the primary driving factor of this kind of discussion, because there's no reason to move away from TJ Ward. He's been phenomenal. He's been everything they wanted. I know he's hurt at the moment, but it's not supposed to linger necessarily. So I think it really is the contract driving it more than anything in this case. But they are comfortable, I think, with Justin Simmons and Will Park. And the emergence of Jamal Carter, this training camp and preseason has been pretty impressive too. A guy from a pretty big program that can handle the job. So I think it's interesting that they're kicking the tires. My worry is, what can they get for him at this stage? It's not going to be a player. It's only going to be a draft pick.
When you're sitting on a contract that will expire after this upcoming season, TJ, I think we've talked about it with the Nuggets before. We've talked about it with NBA teams and even baseball teams that try to do something with those expiring contracts instead of having them just disappear. Do you think that's all this is?
I think that's a lot of it. I think they feel really good about the guys they have, which I think should make you feel good as a Denver Broncos fan that their plan seems to be working when it comes to drafting players in the secondary. The question is, how much is 2017 worth compared to the years beyond that? Because TJ Ward, at the very most, I think at this point, that we know definitively is that the only value he offers you on paper is for 2017. And if you don't feel like that's enough, then yes, you absolutely trade him.
Obviously, if he walks, he becomes part of the compensatory pick formula, which would not benefit the Broncos until they got to 2019. But you know that would be part of the potential compensation if, in fact, he played out the season with Denver and then wound up moving on to another team by the time they were done. We'll see what happens. It could just be a rumor mill. John Elway could call it fake news here at some point. We'll find out what angle the Broncos take on this particular story. But they didn't come out and adamantly deny it right away, so we'll see exactly what's bubbling under the surface between now and the start of the season. Shawn, Rockies, big win last night. We talked about it on the show this morning. German Marquez right now is their best pitcher.
Yeah, he is. 10 strikeouts to only 1 walk in the start last night. Yeah, he gave up 3 runs, but it's Coors Field. You expect to give up some runs. But his stuff is, at the moment, as good as anybody's on the team. Well, the ostensible ace is John Gray. He maybe has better stuff, but he hasn't been able to control it like Marquez has. Jonathan Lucroy called him the best pitcher he's ever caught at his age, which is a pretty high praise from a guy that's been around as long as Lucroy.
Yeah, I was wondering maybe you were going to get on the roster. You got the compression sleeve on. I thought maybe you were working the arm out. No, I think Marquez is the guy you start in a wild card game at this point, because of his consistency, because of how good his stuff is over John Gray, which means that you ostensibly have 2 pitchers that you can rely on in the playoffs, which is more than a lot of teams do, especially going into where they're going to be. That's imperative for them, that they can pitch a guy after they have a guy pitch in the wild card game.
We've got one more against the Detroit Tigers. That'll be this afternoon. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll also get you ready for some sort of scrimmagey thing that's going to happen at the stadium tomorrow night, and we'll also keep walking you closer and closer to week 1 of the college football season. Thanks for stopping by for the Morning Minute. For TJ, for Shawn, I'm Nate. We'll see you.